this fundamental, I will not yield, and Planned Parenthood will not yield.
All the odds against us. Faithfulness is the word.
My religion compels me, and I love it for it, to be against discrimination of any kind in our country.
Our rights come from nature and God, not from government.
All God asks of you is faithfulness, faithfulness, faithfulness.
Fighting for the family, standing for the church, laboring to return to a moral and biblically based culture.
This is the American Family Association at AFA Today.
Welcome you to New York City. Thank you for being here in the belly of the news beast. We've got a lot to get to on today's big broadcast. In the shadow of the Freedom Tower, in just north of the historic Trinity Church and its cemetery, and on this National Day of Prayer, we do welcome you to the AFA Today broadcast on AFR Talk. Kevin McCullough, so glad to be with you. It is the 63rd annual National Day of Prayer, and that is somewhat difficult to get your head around when you really think about it, because it doesn't seem like it's been going on that long, but it has been, in fact. And today, of course, a big day in Washington, D.C. The organizers and the Dobsons and people that are traditionally associated with it are there. The task force has been involved. For the second year in a row, the White House has declined any involvement in it. So disappointed at that. At least that's my understanding as of this point. I could be wrong, but saddened by that. But I will tell you how my day started, and it was a very encouraging one. I was up at probably 6:30 at a location. So I back timed that 4:30 out of bed, et cetera. But on location at 6:30, where we had several hundred pastors from across the tri-state area coming together at Pillar College, a Christian college. In fact, the only four-year Bible-based, ministry-focused Christian college in the state of New Jersey. The only one in the state of New Jersey hosted pastors from across the tri-state area to come together and to pray this morning. And this was a very radically and racially mixed group. I mean, you had African Americans, you had Latinos, you had Asians, you had some Messianic Jews that came. You had a whole group of people, lots of different theology represented in the room, but a lot of praying for similar things in our lives. The influence of government, the ability by government leaders to take their responsibility seriously and biblically. A number of other things. So that was where it started. I'll do my broadcasting from Lower Manhattan today, and then just before the end of rush hour, I'll ferry back across the river in Weehawken, New Jersey. There's an entire town there that is observing the National Day of Prayers. Many of the churches coming together from across that town to kind of force their village's hand on it, if you will. But they've asked me to come and to pray for the future of media in our nation. And I'll be able to share a few remarks and then actually lead the prayer for the work of the media. If there was only one industry that is more godforsaken, godless, and just as far away from God as can be had, besides government, it is the influence of the media on all things related to our lives. So anyway, it's going to be an interesting rest of the day. Started very early for me, but I also anticipate that it's going to be a good one. And I hope that you've had a degree of interaction with prayer in the circles that you've been in and the places that you've been to thus far. My phone number is 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. And I'm just realizing, Brent, I don't have my call screen computer up, so we'll get that in the next break. But if we have calls in between now and then, just let me know in my headset. All right, some news I got to get to, because as always, we want to keep you abreast of what's going on here in the middle of the day. The 63rd Annual Day of Prayer, we already mentioned that. There is some real pushback that is now being exercised against the comments earlier this week by one John Kerry. Gary Bauer, and this appeared on onenewsnow.com, but Gary Bauer is noting that the day that he made the remarks about Israel being an apartheid state, that was the actual Holocaust Remembrance Day. So, our most important ally in the world, on the day that is the darkest to them in their modern history, and our Secretary of State kicks them in the teeth publicly, calling their actions that of apartheid, and all did it, still having time to windsurf before dinner, I'm supposing. It is a little bit of amazing just how far this went. But Gary Bauer is saying that both people on the left and the right in D.C. are bothered by this, and they're pushing for his departure. I don't know if that'll happen. I don't think it will. Look, Eric Holder should have been out of office a long time ago if we were going to actually kick people out for incompetence on the job. I mean, from starting to ask the city of New York to house the trials for the terrorists, to letting people out of Guantanamo, to you name it, et cetera, et cetera. There's tons of rationale as to why he should have been gone, covering up the Black Panthers story, and then once they had a conviction, undoing that. I mean, so much. Fast and Furious, Benghazi. I mean, you name it. Eric Holder should have been gone a long time ago, and Hillary Clinton should have been gone after Benghazi. And we're still just finding out that this email really truly does implicate the administration. They specifically said, well, we knew. Here's the thing. We already knew this. We didn't have. The email provides good verification of it, but we already knew that they had been told as early as maybe 15 minutes after the attack began. Leon Panetta informed the president that it was terrorist activity from the Pentagon. He informed them of that. That was already established. Then President Obama disappears for the rest of the night. We don't know where he went. The night of the bin Laden incident, he was sitting in the strategy room, sitting there watching it all happen, and we got that pensive photo of him and all of his advisors sitting there watching it happen. But on the night of Benghazi, gone. We don't know. He won't tell us. Nobody's going to make him tell us. But not to be reached for the duration of the evening. An attack that lasted several hours. Now top Air Force brass have gone before congressional committees saying in the last 24 hours we should have done a great deal more to try to help rescue and save those people. And they just didn't. Friends, it's truly one of the people got upset about the Clinton scandals because they thought, well, it's just sex. That's not, you're just picking on a guy that can't control himself in that regard, which I'm going, then why would you want him to be president? But, that's me. This is a totally different level of failure and massive cover-up, massive telling the American people, hey, look over here, and it's really going on over there. And now the email seems to reveal what common sense had already told us, that they in fact had manipulated those talking points specifically to draw attention away from the administration and to focus it on that video, which they knew. 15 minutes into the attack, it had nothing to do with the video. They knew it was a calculated terrorist strike on our target. Anyway, 888-589-8840 if you got thoughts on that. What else did I want to get to? Oh, this is an interesting story. And, for everyone that is concentrating on the issue of illegal immigration these days, there's a great deal being said about protecting our borders and border security and then dealing with the deportation or the residency issue here of people that are already here, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know where this is going to fall on the scale, but today, according to ArizonaFamily.com, azfamily.com, U.S. Border Patrol has been authorized to begin building what they are in essence calling rescue beacons in the desert. So what would happen is that these rescue beacons, and there's about 10 of them that they want to initially build, and then there's more of them, along the Mexican, Arizona, New Mexico border. They want to build these beacons so that if an immigrant feels like that they are going to be in trouble, harsh dehydration or rattlesnake bite, or a drug dealer came by and shot them and they're bleeding out, whatever the cause, if they can just get to the rescue beacon and push a red button, that's all they have to do. Then the U.S. will come and helicopter them out safely. We'll safely get them out to help and to rescue. And I keep asking myself the question, and I'm not wishing that any would perish. I'm really not. But why do we go bend over backwards to make it possible? One of the great arguments for not needing a natural border in some of these border states is that the terrain is too rough to progress through. That's the argument. Some people say, well, we don't need a fence on every inch of the border because, look, some of it's just nasty to get across. It's impossible. Well, if we install rescue beacons and we're jetting in to help people that get into trouble, shouldn't it be a deterrent? Like, don't go across the desert. Don't challenge the rattlesnakes. Don't try to sneak across the border because you might die. I don't know. I think we're taking a natural barrier that could be said, hey, that's the border to the U.S., this is the border in Mexico, you stay on that side unless you have your proper paperwork, then you get to walk all the way down to the end of the fence and come through the gate. We will welcome you through the gate if you have the paperwork. If you're just trying to sneak across and be a sneaky little son of a gun, we're not going to let you in there. But now, even if they injure themselves, even if they harm themselves, if they walk into a den of rattlesnakes and they get bit 1,000 times, all they got to do is make it to the beacon and hit the button, and then the U.S. is going to come running to the rescue. Will that decrease immigration likelihood or increase the illegal immigration likelihood? I'm just asking a common sense question there. But the U.S. Border Patrol being forced to carry out that policy as we speak now. So that's kind of interesting. Oh, here's a story out of Houston. Maybe I should end with this. Yes, I think I will. I think I'll end with that one today. Remind me to talk about the store robbers in Houston before we're done today. I've got to tell you this story. It is a very intriguing story. What happens when two robbers decide to break into a lingerie store in the dead of night, in the dead of dark? We'll fill in the blank on that when we get to the end of the broadcast today, because it actually is. It could have ended very, very tragically. Comedically, it couldn't have ended any funnier than it did. But we'll tell you that a little bit later. Okay, the main story I want to ask you about today is a brand new law in Tennessee. And there are people that are saying this law is racist. There are people that are saying this law is anti-woman. There are people saying this law should not be passed because the White House said not to pass it, and the Congress said not to pass it, and medical professionals have said not to pass it, and they passed it anyway. The voters of Tennessee passed it anyway. The governor has signed it into law. What's so terrible about this bill? Well, they became the first state in the nation to pass a law that criminalizes women for their pregnancy outcomes if criminal behavior has been applied to the pregnancy during the pregnancy. What does that mean? Well, for instance, it would allow prosecutors to charge a woman with criminal assault if she uses illegal drugs during her pregnancy and her child is born with some sort of harm as a result. So if they do drugs, snort some coke, smoke some weed, shoot up with some heroin, whatever it is that they do, and the baby comes out not right, there's a potential that the prosecutors could now prosecute that woman for criminal behavior. I don't have to ask my lovely bride what she thinks about this. She's already yelling at the radio, "It's about time!" But what do you think? 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. I'm Kevin McCullough. This is AFA Today on AFR Talk.